catcher hanging in the window of a minivan parked along the water's edge. I'd say that I was all alone. I'd say that I was all alone. I'd say that I was all alone. But I will never be born as a scorpion. You're gonna be okay come morning. Find your legs and find your home. Everybody gotta be born, but never be born as a scorpion. Shadow make an island nation on the fabric of this terrain. You gotta jump over the island like a gazelle. You gotta jump over the island like a newborn, like a gazelle. As a scorpion, you will never be born as a scorpion, but just another pair of boat shoes walking away from the harbor. Just another pair of boat shoes walking away from the harbor. This is David Radio, broadcasting you live from Hitsville, USA, 2 blocks from the Motown Museum, 2 blocks from Aretha Franklin's childhood home. Cloud Shadow on the Mountain. I am from a place that is called the Valley of the Shadow. There's all kinds of implications with that, but it's literally true. It is valleys. I come from northern Appalachia, and it's hard to talk about America. It's hard to talk about the Civil War I think it's hard to talk about workers' rights, pretty much anything political in the hands of a worker, if you don't start from Appalachia. And usually we'll dig into where it's still happening, where the blood is still being squeezed from the little guys. And so we'll go where Dickie is from, Kentucky or Tennessee, West Virginia. But a place that was expired 70 years before that is where I'm from, Northern Appalachia. And this plays a key role historically. First off, where the first revolts we've ever had in the nation, I'm proud to say, come from this area, the whiskey revolts. And it's because the government is trying to tax whiskey, and that maybe feeds into a thing that maybe I'd like to lean into sometimes in my reckless attitudes of like an Appalachian wild man who drinks and stuff like that. And we did kill those motherfuckers for that, but there wasn't the whiskey. Whiskey is one of the few things that could not that wouldn't go bad when you went over the Appalachians. And while they're small mountains here, they will never be small in my mind. And they're not actually small mountains. They're hard to walk. They're small in comparison. And the thing about this area, geographically, is the South cannot get in except through this way. I was born in Gettysburg, as we say it, or Gettysburg. You see. I'm getting off track. I literally wrote I wasn't going to do stuff like this. We were going to be serious. But so the way the Appalachians hook and the way the Chesapeake Bay is, there's only one way for an army to really march. They tried to march through the App and they get slaughtered. You can't march through this land, especially that southern land where you get to Harper's Ferry. Beautiful, beautiful, but there's no way to traverse. It is a rainforest. It is by definition a rainforest. But in northern Appalachia, you have these valleys, and here's the things: armies would get trapped in these valleys because if you don't have good information, you don't know how hard it's deceptive. The landscape there is incredibly deceptive, and so the South pushed, and the only places they could, and they were fought back, and they fell there. But so because of the geography, that's where it had to happen. They tried to push it other places, it didn't work. The South didn't have the Navy like the North did. You couldn't come in from Ohio because of the Appalachians. There's one way to go. And so that's where it comes down to. And that's where I'm from. And I've always felt, I guess, kind of like a cheat, of an Appalachian guy, because I was born north of the Mason-Dixon. It's northern Appalachia. Things were already taken there by the time they decided to start moving south and set that shit up. But the thing about these lands is the geography, and I think that's most of the few writings that come from this area talk about the geography, because it is deceptive, it's tricky. It's fitting that Dickie would be so interested in the occult and sleights of hands and stuff, because the land is like that, the geography is like that. It's these subtle hills, and it really dictates what you're able to see. It's like a tablecloth that's not like quite set taut, you know what I mean? And almost everything looms over you. And even in moments that the land affords that you could possibly look down on something or some site or some person, usually some person, when you could look down on them, always something looms above you. And it's so ugly. The beauty there, you're trained to take it wherever you can. And then almost like cruelty, with like a flash, it opens up something like heaven, just leaving you stunned there, but still in your place. It's a place That's oppressive. There's a thing I've trotted around to friends of mine to try and explain it. It's like, and an old, I think country musician said this, that he didn't know how big the sky was until he left Appalachia, because everything there hems you in. You don't get to see how big the sky is. And it feels like defeat's handed down. You can't, like, leave it. There's bloodline. There's bodies there that will never be found. Not like the Pacific Northwest, where you have all these murder fields and stuff, or down in Texas. These are, I guess, legitimate corpses, a lot of them. Legitimate as in, it was war. But there's a feeling of, like, almost cosmic horror to the nihilism and the bleakness there. It's heavy. It's just heavy like soil. I don't know. And I'm someone who didn't have a good upbringing, like most Appalachians. And so maybe a lot of that's linked with trauma. I don't know. I found that when I went to make my block here of this show, the only block that I have done all by myself, so I found it got intensely personal, because I started picking songs from first Appalachia, then the area I'm from, and it started lining up to first eerily being like, oh, this makes sense. These are all songs I heard when I was 14 and that were being made at that time, up in Mechanicsburg, Pittsburgh, go down to West Virginia, go down to Harper's Ferry, and so, of course, that made sense. I was around there. And then I saw, as I assembled the playlist, and this usually happens, that's why I always try and think of maybe God's directing this. He doesn't tell people what to say, but he could direct you if you pay attention. And I noticed the playlist really mimicked a lot of my personal experience where I'm from, where I grew up there, and I left when I was 18, bro. And then, life is bad and hard, and you go back, and it's worse. It's worse because you're back there. And then I got out, I think. And I think that was the thing for me. Because it feels like you can't leave. And you shouldn't go back unless you got a reason, and you got a reason to leave. Yeah. Now, as you may imagine, I have listened to those songs thousands of times in my life. Over, I guess, almost 2 decades now. That's strange to say. I'm only 35. I'm not old. I'm only 35. Um, but I'll say this, like I said, where perhaps you don't have to call it God, but it's pretty undeniable that there's some kind of... I'm making a hand gesture. You can't see it, but I'm making a hand gesture. That there's some kind of hand is... People get really upset when you talk about a hand of God, but there's some kind of design here. I think one thing that struck me was a old coworker I had, of course, a coworker in a warehouse somewhere, once said to me that, like, yo, bro, everything happens for a reason. And I had not yet had some kind of religious anything. In fact, quite the opposite. I'd like to be the opposite of that at the time. You can make of that what you will. But he had said to me, everything happens to a reason. And I was almost, I was like, what are you talking about? That sounds fucking retarded, bro. And he was like, no, dude, like, literally, like, the reason this thing happened is because these things happened. And then, like, the reason those things happened is because those things happened. And it struck me at such a time in which I thought, well, you know, I guess that's God. You know, and I had not yet had this kind of, I don't know quite what to call it, some kind of experience, and where there was some material within my head, some kind of God experience. You know, a come to God moment in which this is material in my head, in which I cannot deny because I'm a being of rationality, I think myself to be. But here's the thing that I have felt clearly and like, just like a fucking, like in the Apocalypse Now, like a diamond through the forehead. Just a brief moment of that. And I can't deny it. And I don't want to deny it. You know? I guess that's what I mean. You know, whether you believe or not, whether that's a name you want to give something, everything happens for a reason, bro. That's just straight up. I'm sorry, that's just actually just like the fabric of reality. And so if I may take my hand, I'm doing my hand above the microphone again, as like a veil to push beyond, to push you on your little forehead like a diamond. I will say there is, in the real world right now, a hurricane happening. I don't know which name. I hope they gave it a sassy name, one of them good broad names that do a lot of violence. Or maybe they gave it a name in which you're unsure of the gender. You know, maybe a foreign name. But so that's happening. And so I haven't heard from Dickie in about 2 hours. But we had planned for this because we're always professionals here. And so the actual bulk of our interview won't be for, I don't know, another 45 minutes. If that's too long for you, I don't know, turn on the radio, bro. I don't know. It's radio, brother. It's radio, brother. Go do something else while you listen. But, so, as I not fill time, no, this is planned. Miss Dickie and I, we're going to talk primarily about location, because of course that would naturally come up. I just made a kind of location-based playlist that was very specific. I got weepy. I said I wouldn't get weepy, but I got weepy about my childhood yet again on David Radio. And that was one of the things we were going to talk about, because she's from a little bit farther south. But then we were just going to talk about music, because this is a radio show. And, you know, that's one of the benefits. I have the songs from her, and I have the conversation I've had about the songs. So even if I don't have her, I will hopefully try and... I don't know. Once again, not buying time. Not buying time. Oh, my husband is gesturing to me. So, like a true born bred Appalachian, I'm unemployed right now. I lost my job at the dollar store. It's a long story. I'm not going to go to it. There's a lot of political intrigue that was revealed to me these last few days that I actually didn't suspect. But this is no time for that. My husband will link the Ko-fi. Oh, what is our DJ handles? We didn't even do that. So I'm DJ David Shaman Gladfelder, the whole thing. And I'm joined with my husband, who is DJ Dr. Mr. Linden, DJ Dr. Mr. Linden, who you've been interacting with in the chat and who's giving you the information. And he says to link our Ko-fi. See, I don't feel... but so we're gonna do that, like an Appalachian man. So we were gonna talk about music, and so one little remnant I want to go over. So the Skin of My Yellow Country Teeth by Clap Your Hands Say Yeah. There's a classic example of what I'd call is this racist or just like humanity bursting forth in Appalachian form? Because there's a line there where he's talking about, the whole song is about like, I'm getting out of West Virginia. I'm going to New York City. I saw the sights, but I miss West Virginia. I feel that. It's beautiful there. You can buy liquor 24/7 at a 7-Eleven in West Virginia. All right, I'll just leave that on the table. If you need any convincing, think about that, bro. Think about that, bro. You can just sit in the woods and drink, for $7 anywhere. Anyway, so, but there's a line in that song that goes, he's in a party, but then he says, you look a little bit like coffee, and you taste a little bit like me. And so, to tie back to what I was saying before, I listened to these songs 1,000 times, and that line this time struck me as like, whoa, brother. Well, because it's one of those things that's like, that sounds really racist. What do you mean by that? You look a little bit like coffee. You know what I mean? But the thing that makes it, I think, maybe just empathy overflowing from an Appalachian form, if that's a very beautiful way to say it, is but you taste a bit like me. It's like, man, imagine you're a little fucked up. You're a country boy. You're up in the big city, and someone's here and you're, they're like, man, you look a little bit like coffee. Were you Mexican? But you taste like me. You taste like, blood hill people. You know what I mean? And so I'm not sure whether it's very much not, very embracing or just still very racist. Can I do the Theo Vaughn thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, Lynn's the worst because I'm not. No. We're not going to do the Theo Vaughn thing. We'll do it later on if Dickie comes on. But so, besides that, music-wise, one thing that surprised me, and I guess this is just something that's being called to us, us hill folk, if I may include myself in that, is this link between Southern Gothic and this link between cosmic horror. And I'm going to go into that more, hopefully, with Dickie and, well, not person, but cyber person, which is real enough for me. This idea of linking these two things. And, when I was 25 and really doing a lot of amphetamine and came up with this conceptually in my head, I felt like a fucking genius. But, when you do a bunch of drugs for a lot of years, and you're not devoted, I didn't really care about writing. So I felt really jealous when I would say the first real example of this is Brad Kelly, The Earthen Dark, which I haven't read yet. Send me a review copy, brother. If you got one on you, I'll take a PDF. But of this first, Southern Gothic, kind of Faulkner, kind of really, really McCormick. I mean, Carson McCormick is the gateway to that. Of also this feeling of I don't know, something wrong, something like a cult, almost evil. In here, where I live, underneath my ground, there's bodies here. And one thing, in that last song, the Dr. Dog song, that struck me, even though I've listened to that song so much, and it has always made me feel good. It is like a Beatles song. It's just gorgeous. It's a gorgeous song. But, that first line is, I don't want to go back to that old ways of lying and cheating around, you know what I mean? And that was always what I gravitated towards, of being like, yeah, dude, I don't want to be that way. I don't want to be fucked up on drugs. I don't want to manipulate people. I don't want to lie to myself and feel bad about myself all the time. You know, all these different things that that lyric could entail. But the second part never really hit me before, where it's, I don't ever want to leave the dead underground. And I had, before this, kind of stumbled upon to do this Dickie interview thing. I was really struggling with a David radio episode in which it was about my grandfather, who is dead, who ironically did not stay underground. There was a big scandal about how it was a sketchy graveyard where he was buried, and so his casket actually tumbled out into the street in a mudslide. So he didn't even stay underground. But of course, me, Dents, as smart as I think I am, Dents could not receive that message from the universe. But so I was struggling with something about my grandfather in one of these little, whatever we call these things. And we decided to pivot to this Dickie thing. And that song came up, and that line really hit me, I guess. And then you, of course, pivot to the Dickie story that you're hopefully all here for, Intolerable Acts, which is literally about a man who is probably the spirit of America's victims coming to reap, and who literally takes your sons and daughters of the nation and brings them back to life and brings them above ground so you can see them. So you can see the cost, you know. Anyway, so these kind of things all bubble up. And I think one of the things that I would like as a through line, because Miss Dickie is not here, is density. I was surprised because she had given me, we had talked about a band called Frog Eyes, which maybe none of you know. Every single song of theirs is a deep cut. You could argue maybe the later albums not so much, but Frog Eyes is a band that's always been super close to me, super close to my husband. Anybody I could convince to give them the time of day and give them patience, they have come back rewarded by Frog Eyes. And Dickie is the only other person I think I've met in organic life, besides people I already knew, who knew about Frog Eyes and was deeply touched by Frog Eyes. And so it's fitting that the rest of the night we'll have lots of Frog Eyes in there. The reading has Frog Eyes in there by accident, by happenstance. And Frog Eyes give you the lowdown, because it will be the first thing you hear. They are challenging you. This is a man who was a, what is secondary school? Is that high school? So that's high school in Canada. He's a secondary, this is what we mean by the Canadian bard. This guy who is, he sounds like some kind of crazy bard. And the things he said, and the music, the mixing is so dense. The guitar is so dense. Everything is so dense, and it does not, it wants you to give it, if you give it something, if you give it some patience and you investigate, you will be rewarded. Now, if you've never heard Frog Eyes, this first selection by Miss Dickie, I don't know if it's going to win any hearts, but think about patience, and they've always challenged, and it's crazy that this is the first time we're playing Frog Eyes here, but we'll go through this block. We'll hope Miss Dickie comes and sees us. If not, we have a good show planned all around her anyway. So Now, let's understand American power. It's a lot simpler than you'd think, unfortunately. Where America has always existed, in which any time there is a problem, you push an underclass out with a promise of expansion. This hasn't changed now, it's just become digital. But so, to think of the Civil War and how this starts, you go back to America and where it starts, and it is this expansion, this promise, always. Lynn, baby, turn the fan off, please. I'm sorry. So, American expansion. You think of this, always this promise. You can go out west. There will always be more to take, and that you are allowed to take. Because of God, yes, but because of power, and God equals power, especially if you are a white nation, maybe a white holy nation. And so this promise is always there. And like I said, it changes now where it's digital. Now, where the promise is, you could hustle, you could grind, you could gig, and you could make it out there. There's a whole episode or so to be made about how you can take that kind of little celebrity, and how that is doled out now, this kind of celebrity that was a gem and kind of important, but maybe evil, of this old world, this old media, and how maybe it's just the slowness of it that made it important. You know what I mean? The slowness, the time to ingest, and now nothing is slow. Intentionally so, yes. But because also you don't like it slow, do you? Sorry, you're here at David Radio, and it goes slow. I didn't actually mean those pauses there. Lynn was asking me something, but so that worked out. But so that's like the fulcrum. I'm not the fulcrum, but like the you gotta stop distracting me, baby. This is the one time I gotta be on, baby. Jesus Christ. Oh, man. So, not like a fulcrum, but like a gusset. Probably Matt Christman said this. I'm probably lifting this exactly from Matt Christman. Notice the glasses if you ever look at me. That there is like what is a gusset? It's a thing to contain enormous pressure mechanically in between two mechanical parts, to keep that pressure tight. And that's what America needs. It always needed that. And I think to understand that, and understand, like I had introed with the expansion too, and then complete plundering of northern Appalachia and how you work on down, because, right, that's the first thing your hands can grab, these mountains. And maybe you don't have the tech yet, but you'll get the tech. You'll get the tech as soon as you get into those mountains. And you get just, that's how, our heart gets forged. And then, it's strange because I wind up in Detroit, because I know that those mines would dump into Detroit. And, if you go down further, what else can America grab at? It can grab at all these rich fields. We suddenly have all these fields, and we have all these people we can have work here. I don't know where we got these people, but we got all these people, and they're just like machines, baby. And wait until we get machines. We're going to do terrible things to these people, all people, don't worry. But what can you grab, and then you have this fertile breadbasket. And every time there's some kind of social thing that bubbles up, you can just push it west and push it west until you couldn't with the Civil War. You couldn't. There were things happening in the world that put us in jeopardy. We like to think of the Civil War as very isolated, but it's not. It's not. It's nations trying to split up America, probably rightfully so. You just have to think about what's happening in 1860 and the rest of the world. I'm not going to go into it, but do some Google searches. Those pressures exist, and they exist on a young country of mostly rich people who have convinced poor people to come and do their work and come and do their slaughter. Successfully so. I love America. But I think these things are important to understand when we move into this next part, which is a lot more intense. And I hope you've never heard this before, but if you have, stick with us again, because I think it's worth listening to. This is Intolerable Acts. And if she's not here by the end of this, that's fine. I'll speak in her stead. But yeah, man, this is fucking Intolerable Acts. And if you're American and this doesn't make you feel fucked up, I don't know. You're not my brother, bro. You're not my brother. Go join China, bitch.
Hi, this is your Apocalypse Confidential Essays editor, Dickie here, coming to you from the Big Island, Hawaii. Today I'm going to be reading my story that was included in the latest AppCon special, which was American Bestiary. And the name of the story is Intolerable Acts. Intolerable Acts is basically a Hand of Glory story, but it's a bit more than that. But what it primarily is is a cautionary tale against turning your back on an actor. So I'm going to go ahead and read it for you, and I hope you enjoy hearing it and reading it as much as I enjoyed writing it. Thank you. And I started the story with an old poem from the Civil War times. Ye men of old Virginia, and in that hand there glistens, what a joy to feel, a polished blade full sharp and keen of tempered state-right steel. I want what was taken, Martha said. Silas stood in the doorway, hat low, coat still carrying the road, dust worked into the seams, the hem stiff with old mud. He'd not been home 3 hours. The furlough papers sat in his pocket, folded and creased, handled too often. 3 weeks leave, no promises after. Martha didn't ask him in. She stood narrow in the frame, hair pulled tight. Her American print dress was plain but clean, the cuffs darkened where her hands had worried them. Her eyes held him without warmth. My brother's arm, she said. They took it. Silas looked past her into the house. The interior was close and unlit, the walls swallowing what little light came from outside. A chair sat angled away from the table, like someone had risen quickly and not returned. Army surgeon, she said, or after. I heard both. She stepped aside just enough for. The table was scrubbed raw with salt and lemon. A basin sat beneath it, catching a slow drip of something that had missed its mark. On the tabletop, under a sheet too short to tuck, lay her brother, one sleeve folded flat against nothing. Silas took off his hat and turned at once in his hands. I just got cleary, just for a little while. You'll go back, she said. I've been at the whiskey all night, and I'm not meaning anything by it. They keep parts, she went on, for study, for charms. But I know where it went, she said, and that made him look at her. Baltimore. Silas let out a slow breath. His gaze settled again on the covered body, the hollow where the arm should have weight. You want it buried proper, he said. I want it back. Silence pushed through the anteroom like the chambers of a heart. Silas slid a thumb under the edge of furlough paper in his pocket. He thought of how thin a thing it was to stand between him and being taken again. Body, time, all of it. Why me, he said, and Martha met his eyes. You've had dealings with them, and I know about how you was born, the call. Something in him tightened, deep and involuntary, like a stitch pulled wrong. Every word felt like another verse in an old murder ballad that would not end. He put his hat back on. "Baltimore," he said. "Yes, I'll bring it." "Silas, you ever hear that one," Martha said, "about the soldier by the Potomac?" "Heard a good many things," he said. "That poem," she went on. He glanced at her. "I seen it printed." "They find it on 'em," she said. "The dead." She said it plain. Folded up small in a pocket or laid in close. Enough times that folks took notice. He shifted his weight in the doorway. "Paper turns up where it will." Martha shook her head. "No," she said, "this one comes after." "It's the difference. Men started throwing it away when they came across it. Wouldn't carry it. They said it had a way of getting ahead of you." Boone looked past her into the dark of the house. "And it still turns up?" he said. Martha's eyes held on him. "Still does," she said. "Seems to know where it's going." Silas was born backstage at New York's Old Park Theater. His mother, Eleanor, blossoming from a retirement to which she would never return, was mid-finale when the pains became urgent. He arrived so quickly that she managed to take the curtain call and accept a glass of champagne before they were whisked away in a general staff carriage. He grew up in the shadow of the footlights, his father attached to a War Department and living at his club whenever he was in town. By happy chance, 4 Army surgeons were in audience that night, and they regarded him with the affection of uncles. They took him straight from his mother's arms to Virginia, where statesmen are made. They taught him the mechanics of the heart and lungs, the silent pulsing logic of the neck, and later as judges, they bent their principles whenever his cases came up, and come up they did. He was only released from prison while Atlanta burned. They threw the cells open, put a rifle on each hand, and swore him in then and there, outfitting him and his cellmate with bloodied tunics. It sat between Silas and Martha. Only one way that she could know it. She was a seer too. Silas was one of the few Easterners in the Army of Virginia, a man whose presence among the largely illiterate rank and file felt as jarring as his arrival in the midst of the fray. Afterward, the general had simply told him to stay on and use every instinct he possessed to investigate Ezekiel Everett. The general didn't care for the morality of the thing. What he cared about was the manifest. When truces were called and the battlefield dead were tallied, for every 100 lost, only 50 were being tagged and boxed for the home trains. The rest were vanishing into the mud, into the river, swallowed whole. And though he couldn't prove it yet, he knew that Everett was to blame. Everett had arrived in the country with the first freight of wounded, calling himself an embalmer surgeon, and the infirmary's counts had been hemorrhaging ever since. He never spoke much of the war, claiming his methods were for the sake of the living. He would cut at the neck and wrist, drain the body of its dark, clotting blood, and plump a clear, viscous liquid into the arteries using a small, brass-handled pump. He refused to name the ingredients, only offering that they were as indicated salts and conserving fluids designed not to mock the dead. The result was unmistakable. The bodies became pale and smooth, their lips drawn tight, their eyelids sealed with thin wax. Their skin took on a hard, glossy sheen as if they'd been carved from cold marble. The mothers who'd lost sons, fathers who'd buried children forever by name, desperate to see their dead return to the faces they remembered from before the fever, before the war.
Oh, Billy, come on, oh, Billy, come on, oh, 'cause I've heard your 100th song. And though I liked the tale of the millionaires that constructed the fine bulbs and put their buildings in the air, Billy, come on, oh, Billy, come on, come and sing your 100th song. Bring the cautionary tales to the reactionary table. Ha, ha. So, Billy, come on, oh, Billy, come on, oh, like a population bursts from your songs for the birdies and the babies and the downtown pushers. Please, Billy.
Silas tracked him the only way he knew how, by the places that set his teeth on edge. He'd once heard of a parlor trick some head-shrinking quack cooked up. A man hides a thing in a room, and links arms with it and strolls as if it's nothing. But his nerves give him away. Get too close and he tugs, just a twitch, just enough. Follow the pull and you find what he doesn't want found. Every mile north was like walking into a bad dream he couldn't wake from, but the harder his spirit tried to turn back, the surer he was that he was closing in. Silas came up the Mississippi in stages, on packets that burned more wood than they carried freight, the boilers coughing like consumptives in the night. He slept when he could, never long, the river slapping at the hole like something wanted in. At Vicksburg, a preacher laid hands on him without asking and got a slashed face for his trouble. North of Memphis, the banks grew crowded with machinery, engines sunk into the mud, drawn up a black slurry. The shoreline held in place too long, the same stand of ciphers sliding past again and again like a trick of stage scenery. By the time they made Cairo, something in him had gone off its true bearing. He came off the Clipper into Baltimore. Harbor stank. Boots were still wet, squelching on the boards at Fells Point. and something in him had turned sour on the voyage in and sat low in his guts and wouldn't settle. For a second he thought he was still at sea. He could almost smell it again, that closed-in rot of bodies and bilge, somebody breathing too close in the dark. Then a gull cried overhead and the harbor snapped back into place. He checked the note in his pocket more out of habit than anything. Meet at the theater at midnight. The actor awaits. People said John Wilkes Booth was mixed up in a plot against Lincoln. People said a lot of things. Soldiers moved through the streets and around the harbor, and Fort kept its guns ready. Telegraph wires ran everywhere, carrying messages no one trusted. You heard stories. Trains stopped, neighbors turning on each other, depending on who was listening. There was other kinds of talk, too. Hospitals taking in more than the wounded. Doctors who worked late with the doors shut. Parlors where people sit in the dark and tried to speak with the dead. Some swore by it. Some made money off it. A handful of men in red, white, and blue face paint hurried past them, loud and unsteady like they'd been up all night. You could get anything here if you knew who to ask. Votes, papers, a body. The Front Street Theater wasn't hard to find, big, columned, trying to look Grecian and almost pulling it off. The ground floor was all horses and carriage space. Behind it the Jones Falls slid past slow and dark. Silas saw the fire before he reached the doors. It was already burning steady, sheets curled and black and lifting into the air as ash. Playbills, handbills all fed into the flames. A ring of men stood around it drinking. Scattered around the edge were small copper stars about the size you'd see on a general's shoulder. He nudged one with his boot, cheap metal, worn down. The Order of the Star. Copperheads, mostly out of Ohio if the stores were right. Fire popped. For a moment he had the uneasy feeling he'd seen them same stars somewhere else. He looked up at the theater. Whoever this actor was already inside. He kept to the edge. A card caught in the fire's lip, charring at one corner but not yet taken. Ink held fast where others bled away. He stepped in and took it. "Let it burn!" someone called. Silas ignored him. He brushed the ash from the surface. Ezekiel Everett, perfected in the arts of carnomancy and bibliomancy. Wrongs considered, injuries repaid. I read the signs and interpret the signs. Let the dead be answered. I am a door set in the veil. Behold the red world behind this one. Silas turned the card once and slid it into his coat. Behind him the fire climbed. A bandstander in a frayed white suit and wide-brimmed Quaker hat paced a gazebo hung with a banner. One night only. He accosted onlookers by way of a megaphone, though he hardly needed it. The crowd surged, laughter snagging on unease. Silas let himself be carried with them, boots slipping in the churned mud. We have in attendance patriots and traitors, saints and gluttons, creditors and carrion, all the Republic's children. And for our central amusement, he turned, slow as a weather vane in dead air, and gestured to the curtain. For our central amusement, a gentleman of uncommon conviction, an artist of consequence, a man who understands that a nation, like anybody, must occasionally be open to discover what truly ails it. A hiss passed through the audience. A woman near Silas clutched her shawl tight enough to blanch her knuckles. Step right up, closer, closer, don't be shy. We're in the thick of it now, the marrow in the head of the long bone. In tonight's performance admits no latecomers and forgives no early departures. This ground, this good, honest American soil, dark as spilled blood, a needle in the eye. That's history under your boots, and history here is a butcher's ledger, and it will be war to the knife and knife to the hilt. We begin as all things do, with hunger, the real article, starving time. Ate the horses first and then the dogs, and it never stopped, it just changed its dress. Revolution? Yes. Civil War? Oh yes. Expansion, progress, destiny, fine words, all of them. And you? Yes, you've got just enough of it in you to understand the rest of the story. He gestured to Silas, who grimaced in return and flashed the bone handle of his shuffled dagger, 8.5 inches long, encased in a scabbard of red leather. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen, and mind the mud. It takes a shoe if you let it. Yes, gather close. We imported a great many things, my friends. Salt, iron, scripture, blood, but that we came by honest. Silas made his way into the theater. An actor, not Booth but resembling him, was holding court at a table near the back. He watched the first scene from the wings. It lasted only a few minutes. He slipped past a man and woman in greatcoats and auburn wigs, both drunk. Silas pushed through the stage door, the heavy iron latch clicking shut behind him like a trap. The air here was thin, suffocating, and smelled of cheap perfume, gutter and tallow, and dust on long neglected floorboards. He hadn't taken 3 steps into the gloom of the wings before a figure peeled itself out of the velvet drapery. A man wearing an ermine-trimmed cloak over mud-splattered breeches, his face a disaster of white grease paint and uneven charcoal-smudged brows, his movements jerky, his eyes rolling back in his head. Whatever was responsible for such bad luck, it had not finished with him. He was dreadfully scarred, and every limb seemed at some time to have been broken. It's not fair. If I were you, no doubt I should be as oblivious to my good fortune. But I intend to correct that injustice. The man was familiar to Silas. He even wondered if he were some old poker player changed beyond recognition by drink and madness. He couldn't remember a lot about those gambling days. "What have we here?" the man hissed, his voice a gravelly, affected baritone. He thrust a hand out, the long, painted nails digging into the air, and caught Silas by the lapel. His grip was surprisingly cold. "An interloper, come to steal the focus from the lead?" Silas didn't flinch, but he shifted his weight, his hand instinctively dropping towards the hidden line of his blade. The air smelled of stale gin and rotting stage lilies. The actor's face twisted into an exaggerated, jagged mask of grief, and snapped instantly back into a wide, toothy, and wholly insincere grin. Man's fingers twitched, tracing the line of Silas's collar as if he were measuring him for a shroud. Behind him, a woman in a tattered Victorian gown flickered in and out of the lamplight, her movements too fast and too fluid, like a creature captured in a series of disjointed frames. "He's the new prop," she chirped. He shoved Silas backward, the force of it surprising, and swept off toward the stage, his cloak trailing behind him like a spill of blood. "Rehearsal continues," he shrieked towards the dark rafters, leaving Silas alone in the throat of the theater, the shadows stretching out to meet him. Booth sat before a narrow mirror, one lamp burning low beside him. The paint had not yet been fully removed, and one side of his face still held the ghost of the king. "You were in the house. A guest from Virginia, is it?" he said. He held out his hand, the nail in need of trimming, a brown line at the distal edge. His grin was manic, an odd light danced in his eyes. Silas shut the door behind him. A small glass vial rested on the table. Booth picked it up, rolled it once between his fingers. "Sit. I at last have privacy in my dressing room. Not like the old days when it was always crowded with admirers after a performance. Now I'm all alone." Silas leaned against the wall, watching. Booth shrugged slightly and tipped a measure of ether onto a folded cloth. He held it to his face and breathed in, slow, practiced. His shoulders slackened, the line of his mouth flickered. He lowered the cloth and looked at Silas through the mirror. "He'll be with you directly, in a matter of moments, Ezekiel." Then he turned, his movements quiet, and vanished through a curtain at the back of the room. The space behind it seemed to swallow the light. Silas stood by the chair, his hand resting on the back of it, feeling the cold grain of the wood. Booth was near a far wall, studying a row of pen pages as if reading a script. He seemed to have forgotten Silas entirely. And he spoke, perhaps to someone Silas couldn't see. His voice was no longer the theatrical, arrogant tenor he'd used in the dressing room. It was flat, hollow, and utterly devoid of performance. Behind it, the whine of a brass pump. I'm your starving mother and your slaughtered calf. I die in wretched poverty so that you can enjoy the best the world has to offer. I'm the unseen need, the unheard shriek, the unadmitted wound, unacknowledged victim. He looked down at his own hands splayed wide in the dim light. I have no soda, Sally whispered. It's already in bondage. The silence that followed was heavy and curdled. Booth's posture shifted, the tension draining out of him, replaced by sudden jagged exhaustion. When he turned back towards Silas, the actor's mask slid into place, the arrogance, the biting amusement. He looked at Silas as if nothing had been said. Silas stared at him, the weight of those words still vibrating in the air. Who were you talking to? Silas asked. And Booth tilted his head, his eyes bright and empty. Does it matter? In a place like this, one is never truly alone. The rustle of cloth came from behind the curtain. Booth stepped closer to Silas, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial murmur. Don't let the performance bother you, friend. We've all got our role to play. His voice sounded odd, as if he was heavily dosed with chloroform. Come up, he said, backing away and out of sight. Come up and see. Two women sat cross-legged on a nearby table, naked, their skin flushed a deep red, and one of them was Martha Hale. Her eyes were open but unfixed, her mouth parted, a length of intestine coiled in a bowl before her. It's gone. Do you have it? It has to be in here somewhere, the girls said in unison, Everett's lips moving in time with their words. A soldier was found hunkered down in the center of the kill floor of the slaughterhouse, his arms elbow deep in the steaming, stripped cavity of a horse. He was tearing through the meat, frantic. It must be here somewhere, the man muttered, his voice a broken rasp. They said it would be inside. Silas felt a hollowing sense of tremendous loss climb the length of his spine. The room behind him was larger than it seemed possible from outside. There were racks of candles, many melted down and only a few lit. It reeked of incense with an undercurrent of gunpowder. On another set of shelves sat a variety of presidential busts in states of derangement, disfigurement, and horror. A few were littered with scattered teeth under an anguished, gummy grimace. In one or two that grimace bore a violently truncated tongue revealing striated muscle beneath. Mounted on the wall in the far corner was a cow's head, untouched by even the barest taxidermy. Its eyes, red and rheumy, bulged from their sockets. Its mouth hung open. Maggots squirmed in its nostrils. "I know you," said Everett. "You have always been so close to the other side. Have you felt it?" Silas was shaking with fear now, his guts yielding. "I have," he said. No, you haven't," Everett said, smiling. He was missing teeth. "Something's missing for you, isn't it? We are all missing pieces." "Well, what about the girl that came to me about her brother?" Silas said. Everett pushed his lips back from his teeth. "Nobody came to you." "Was it Martha?" Silas asked. "It was no one, Silas. It was no one at all. Here, put your hands on it." He extended the soldier's missing arm, untouched by time or rot. A terrible sound filled the room, a cacophony of buzzing insects, whirling blades, and white noise. Silas looked at the arm, at the hand, waiting, pointing home. But Silas never made it south. Everett's war-damaged souls took him before dawn. They were leftovers of the fighting men, with marble-smooth skin and missing limbs sewn back on crooked, faces half-preserved in a glossy wax. One dragged a wooden leg that left deep grooves in the dirt, and another had a brass pump tube still jutting from his throat, whistling softly with every breath. And their hands were stained in a deep red. They dragged Silas back through the theater's hidden door and into a low building swallowed by trees and shadow. The severed arm was torn from his coat and laid beside him like an offering. He fought, but there were too many red hands pulling him down. They laid him across two sawhorses and opened him, slitting him from throat to waist, ribs cracked apart with wet pops. His head and shoulders hung down, arms dragged flat against the dirt as they emptied him. His own contents, cooked and steaming, slapped onto the floorboards. They brought stacks of books and manila folders, ledgers of the dead, pages torn from Bibles and surgeons' notes, and they stuffed them inside Silas, pecking dense writing tight behind his ribs and crushing the words down in the hollow of his abdomen. Paper rasped against raw meat and ink bled into blood. The war-damaged souls worked with terrible care, as if feeling a brother they had lost long ago, and the call-born flesh accepted it greedily. He sutured him shut with coarse black thread, and dragged him, arms and legs dangling, knocking over tables and chairs to a wash basin, and they heaved him in. Red hands shoving his face beneath the running tap. Silas thrashed, water lashed over the lip. They pressed him down harder, his body jerked sideways, skin flushing livid, and then bleaching corpse white. His eyes and mouth snapped open in a silent scream as words inside him began to move, rearranging themselves like living script. They hauled him out, clammy and colorless. He flopped onto the stone. They held his head while he coughed up water and stared across the floor at the glistening heap of his own guts. Inside his packed chest, papers fluttered and whispered. The red world pressed close. In America, the war had never really ended. It had simply learned how to walk again, stuffed full of fresh words and old wounds, marching forward on borrowed limbs.
My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He's trampling out the vintage where the grapes are at the store. He hath loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible Swiss sword. his truth is marching on. I've seen the watchfires of 100 serpent camps. They have built him an altar in the evildoers and damps. I can read his righteous sentence by the dim and flaring lamps. His day is marching on. My contemporary soul, with you my grace shall deal. Let the hero-born woman crush the serpent with his heel. Since God is marching on. My soul dance, they jubilant my feet. Our God is marching on. Christ was born across the sea, with a glory in his bosom that transfigures you. As he died to make men holy, let us die to make men free, while God is marching on. He's coming.
Battle Hymn of the Republic. That is our nation's song. That has been done over and over and over again. And that version of this song is my favorite version of this song. And it reaches just all these sprawling complexities that I think C. Hightower, Dickey's story, hits of, I don't know. And I've gone through phases as I've gotten older with that version of that song of, it's terrifying. It's almost overwhelming. Sometimes it's almost overwhelming in how beautiful it is. A lot of like how Frog Eyes can be. The Frog Eyes you guys have heard now. We did include a Frog Eyes song in the reading that is more my taste when I was like, hey, check out this band. But I don't know, Dickie went on some other kind of vibe with her choices at first. But, you know, that it's scary almost. It's almost like beholding God, or almost like beholding some kind of sin before you. I don't know. Like I've said, at different moments, I've felt some kind of beautiful civic call to duty of what America's supposed to mean. And other times I've felt so deeply ashamed and horrified of what America is. But both of those things exist in this world and are sometimes the same, unfortunately. That's the cost. That's the cost, right? Now, let's bring a little levity there. That song comes from, it's kind of hard to track down. I feel like most of them are studio musicians. But so that song comes from the soundtrack of the the video game Wasteland 3 by In Exile Studios, who were some of they claim a lot of being the hands of Fallout, but they're not really the creative minds behind Fallout. But that was for their third installment of a Wasteland RPG game, and I got fucking one-shotted by that song. Well, it's because out of nowhere I'm playing, it's a gun game. I'm shooting guys. It's the apocalypse. It rules. All right, this is in my element. And all of a sudden, this sound of a horrifying and beautiful America that I do know deeply because I'm an American trickles before me, and it was very overwhelming. But the levity, I said, one of the preset characters that you can make, which I always chose, is a guy who looks exactly like Chinese Nick Mullen, and I always chose that guy, and I always thought that was very funny. So my Chinese Nick Mullen in his apocalypse gear, in a winter apocalypse, because this is in Colorado, it would, I guess, still be cold during a nuclear apocalypse. I'm not sure of the timeline. I'm not a science guy, but I don't know if that's correct. But anyway, so Chinese Nick Mullen. But so let's talk about this story for a little bit, because Dickie is in the eye of a hurricane, which is kind of she's fine. I'm sure she's fine. Hurricanes happen in Hawaii, I'm sure. I don't know. I've never been there, but it can't be all beaches, right? I mean, it is, but there's hurricanes too. But, so, I won't go too deep because I think the meat of why people were here were for that reading, and also to hear Dickie talk. And I don't know if she's going to arrive here today, but I'd like to try to do her some kind of honor so that when she listens back to this, that she'll, at the very least, feel happy. But so this story took me, I guess, off guard because she is a writer that's been in kind of my periphery. I have some kind of weird, unique standing within whatever kind of writing scene is online here. And I don't need to get into any of that stuff with the kind of stuff that I make. But I was taken off guard by this story because she was, I guess, kind of emerging, as you do, as an experience that I had, I guess, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where you're going through all of your old shit and you're like, fuck it, man. I like to do this. I just want to do this. It doesn't matter. You've kind of shed a lot of the things of, I don't know, people paying attention to you or people being moved or you being even important. You just want to do this because you're going to die. You know what I mean? And so she had sent me some things that were very good and very promising, but were like just not, I'd probably say it. It's hard to call talent level, but they were older things, and it wasn't at the very least at draft level to present. And then so quickly, she seemed to iron out these things, and she did send me not this piece, but another piece to edit that just got published that I'm sure is great. So if you guys want David to edit your work, I'll edit it for you. But just this emerging, and it all kind of it clicked for me of I don't know, like I said, density and compression. A lot of the artists that we've looked at today focus on that. And I think Appalachia, where Dickie and I are from, is all about that, this compression, not only of corpses underground, not only of soil and erosion over and over and over again, but of just these micro lives and stories that are forgotten. We don't all get to be J.D. Vance's. He's from Ohio, though. He says he's from Kentucky, but that's like extended family. I could be wrong about that, but I don't know. You're 2 hours in. Fact check me. And I think Dickie here, and I think this is a benefit maybe of working with a love of genre fiction and kind of shedding any kind of pretensions of academia that for some reason shroud that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you shouldn't do genre fiction, even though it's like, I don't know, Infinite Jest is genre fiction. I don't know what to tell you, bro. I don't, So what are you talking about? Don't do genre fiction. But that kind of interest, there's lots of forms within there that allow for very economic writing. And a lot of the time it's not very tapped on because it's nerds and it's grognards, or it's guys like me who don't think about words in another life. Maybe a guy who just focused on D&D. And that would be a happier David, let's be honest. David who just only was D&D focused, Magic the Gathering focused, I think he would be a lot happier than the David he is now. But I'm the David here. And so, but there's mechanisms within that kind of, I was doing hands there when I said mechanisms, but there's mechanisms in that kind of writing, in that kind of genre fiction that allows for this kind of layered density. And that's why I said earlier that Cormac McCarthy is kind of like a gateway to that, because he kind of shows you that minimalism isn't the opposite of maximalism. Minimalism is the end point of good maximalism, of being able to relay as much information as fast as you can, as quickly as possible, and how you can make people feel certain things with one certain word choice or one certain beat, and how do you manufacture that beat within a sentence. And I think Dickie shows that. I think I said at the very beginning of the show that there's like this wave of people about my age who are kind of connecting Southern Gothic, Faulkner, McCarthy, whatever, with cosmic horror. Because, I don't know, maybe it's just vanity, and now this is David Radio, so vanity's on the table, that there is some kind of connection, feeling there with being a millennial, in this shifting of time, of culture, where you don't have a monoculture anymore, but you're also stuck. The internet is still a place you visit, and for you, probably a place that you hear about, that you one day hope to visit when you go to a city. That you're trapped in these mountains in every single way, and that you have to take the steps to leave, or that you're just going to be in those mountains. Especially in that time period when there's this housing crash, which, believe it or not, did hit these areas as well. I don't know. I guess I'm rambling here, but that kind of has tuned people in. At least some other people. I think Dickie. I think I do this. Like I said, Brad Kelly's probably the first person to do it. I hope not the best person to do it. I hope one day when I finish a book, it'll happen. But of like connecting these things, because I do seem so connected, of like the Southern Gothic trappings of like what being an American is, that just carries forward, of just ugliness and hatred and intense beauty where you can find it, but like God is judging you because, I don't know, the original sin's kind of replaced. If you're an American, that's your sin, right? The sin you're born with. Like, because you're alive, like, a bunch of people died. And they keep dying. So that we can do this Zoom call. And that's the cost. And you don't have any say on whether it's worth it or not. As funny or as tragic as you think that is. I guess I'm getting off topic here. But, man, let's go back here. So, compression. How you can spend this space to express as much as possible. I think Frog Eyes has been a good example of this. And something that I've said over and over again, I just stole it from Alan Moore, but I've heard Dickie repeat in a podcast, which made me feel very good. It's like words are sort of sigil-like. Words they hold so much meaning, right? Think of, if you want, I don't know, you want to be a zoomer, think of your computer and your RAM, you know what I mean? So much stored stuff. You know, a word can mean so many things. It's a meme, it's a literal meme. And a collection of words will follow that format and will make someone feel that way or think that way, or they can have the capacity of that. And it's not much different than, I don't know, witchcraft or magic or spells. I don't know, what is magic supposed to be than you say something and your will is enacted. All right, and me saying these words or me writing something, writing is even more personal. You are reading those in your head, and I'm putting something inside of your head. I am putting these thoughts in your head, and with that, the power to put all these collection of thoughts, if I choose my words carefully. And so it's like a sigil. It's like a magic sigil, almost. You could think of it as a fluffy way to think of it, but whatever, man. That's how you try and reconcile it. These things that are unexplainable, that we don't have any kind of fabric or proof for. There is some kind of grounding there. We can try and make correlation. I don't know. But this next part, these next things, songs, that podcast that I had mentioned that Dickie had said those things on. She had also said something else that I wanted to bring up to her, but, you know, she's not here. But that's fine. That really, really struck me in a deep way that I did not expect, because this was a podcast in which sometimes they talked about how colors made them feel. And that's not something I'm typically into. Nothing wrong with that, but it's not something that is something that I'm receptive to, usually. But she had said how you need to be physical. But just a bit, not too much, but enough, you know. And I do a radio show. I guess it's not real radio, but it's real enough. And that kind of feeling when you listen to radio is always when you're working. You know what I mean? You don't have much of a choice of it. You're going with it. And I think when you're working, when you're most in your body, when it's like, I have this task to do and I'm doing manual labor kind of thing, and you float into those little periods in between, you know what I mean? You know, I think about that, of that like 30% inside your body. That's important, of I'm doing this task, but also in your mind, and maybe the mind is more important. Those balances I've never been able to work out, but it really made me think about that. And Dickie, if you don't know, was an orchid farmer, and is temporarily depressed orchid farmer. I don't know. She's currently not orchid farming, but the times in which she listened to these songs, she was on a volcano, on the side of a volcano in Hawaii. And that's a weird place for an Appalachian girl to be, a girl from Kentucky. And I think about all that with this playlist of songs I'm sure that she listened to when she was tending those orchids, and about being in your body when you work. And at the end of the day, it's kind of deciding that you want to do this thing, and that the only way that it happens is that you do it. And these songs felt that way to me. That she picked. I didn't pick them. She picked them. That's not a... She picked them, and they felt that way, and then we arranged them so. There we go.
Away, I'm losing ground.
Okay, let's break the kayfabe, guys, because we're in the final stretch. Dickie never showed up. And that's on her. I'm sure the hurricane's bad. I'm sure whatever. And I've tried to make some kind of experience tonight. And we do have one final block, which Dickie and I talked about the most out of any of the blocks, kind of just being her kind of farewell and what she wants to leave you guys with. And there are two epic songs, you know, sandwiching a T-Rex song. An unexpected. T-Rex is an artist that you should pay attention to. That it's one of my favorites when I was more confrontational. And fuck it, I'll still say it now. It's like T-Rex is better than David Bowie, and I feel confrontational when people even like David Bowie and don't like T-Rex or think T-Rex is better. I don't know. It's just a dumb thing that I've felt inside myself, and I'm letting out now. We're 2.5 hours in. But T-Rex will surprise you over and over again. And they surprised me here with this weird, dense poem in the middle of this. So this will be the final block for tonight's David Radio. I hope that we've tried to take a shot at what these songs mean. I don't know what these areas meant to me, what this story meant to me. We didn't get to go into how the reading was built or different other things, and I don't know, maybe there'll be a part 2. Maybe we can milk this baby. Who knows? But I hope we arrived at something, and I think these final block of songs do, they're wild, bro. It's really a journey. It's really a journey. So I guess what's the last thing I need to say? Pay the Ko-fi? Pay money to the Ko-fi? Oh, the funny things. What are the funny things? Oh, so I got a voicemail from Dickie in preparation to this hurricane, and she was talking about how her second propane tank was empty, and how she had allowed her neighbors to use it whenever they wanted, but she hadn't checked up on it. And this shows you that white trash, Appalachia, trails you no matter where you go. Where she had said to me, and it's fine, I'm going to do the impression. It's late, and she didn't show up. I'll do the impression, you know. But she's like, and someone used all the propane in the second tank, and I didn't think to check. It's probably fucking Cody Marshalls. You know, she's like, who the fuck's Cody Marshall? There's Cody Marshalls. There's Codys who are trying to fuck up your life, even in Hawaii, without asking. You know, isn't that a fun little thing? Let's just end that with the last little joke, and here we go. This is a nice little epic arranged by me, but picked by Dickie. Here you go. Love you guys.
Yeah.
so soon, once my sound was known to the finest tastes that set global tone. And I'll helm the seas of a burgeoning scene as you come queen, while you lick your wounds in a hole that's black perpetually. And a pink caterpillar with 6 anorexic children let me stay, but I had to keep moving through antidote town after antidote town after antidote town after antidote town after antidote town. I spent all your cash by the time I got to China Land. And but your name was gouged, it was no use to think that you could cry. But despite all the stupid plans you set for me, you're still in that ditch. And I was led here after some talk with atmospheres. I skipped the line, made it known that I was one to see. The death was pain, said I did not fit. No time for poison games, I made my way. Through cracks of imbeciles I crawled through my entry point. But a curtain drew, I was too late in a white suit stuffed with clay. You were all saved, 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 all saved, all saved, all saved. Nights came dim and heads came warm. No, not for me. He said and began to sound. It sang the chords of my memory, implying that
star of youth was spawned one day, born on the horses of the slain. In a green of elm the sky outstretched spake, drink deep, O twinkler, in my lake. For a wish you'll be burdened to coronet on your dome. Like a will-o'-the-wisp all attender you'll surrender in the deep foamy kitchens of the muse. And one word they will say, and like a pelican in yellow amethyst, they bless long your stay in the abbey blue. But in glittered hue you wept for summer's limbs upon the pleasant turf, and your shields of ice in the chilly times. Creamed in grey wolf's hair you stride your windy stair. You'll miss no cathedral bed, for you dote on the treasure in the chest of your head.
I'm gonna pray for the cold, I'm gonna pray not for anything else. I'm gonna pray for the war, I'm gonna pray that my day is not the first play with when I repeat this blood on my witness shit. I have been caught in the glory of economy. It's when your joy shall become a man in the glory of economy. It's when your joy shall become a man. I'm gonna pray for the cold, I'm gonna pray not for anything else. I'm gonna pray for the cold, I'm gonna my take is not the first thing with in the glory of economy. It's when your joy shall become a man in the glory of economy. It's when your joy shall become a man and woe to the night, woe to the night. Makes it Forster dancing in the moonlight, dancing just to stave off the hunger. It's the hunger we wanna hear. kitchens adore royalty. And if you love me, you know my heart belongs to the shepherd who has nursed his love back from the tombs of dark Galilee. Oh, and if you know me now, then I shall know. Oh, you know, you shall know that I shall know you by the light on your face. I shall know a light coming out of your face.
He must have been that Cody Marshalls. I'll never, Dickie, as you heard, got off real easy, accent-wise. I know it's heavy, but it's pleasant at least. And I think kind of like matrixed accent bullet from Appalachia. You can still hear it sometimes in the most dire times. And the thing is, where I'm from, the things that the accent makes you sound the most stupid, the most dumb, and mouth breathing. It's these long O's. And so, like, I'll tell you a typical exchange that I've repeated over and over again to my husband over these years, that I heard over and over again in various different drive-thrus I worked in Appalachia, where you go, do you want this or that or this, whatever you say, and they answer back, no, that long O. Now, I don't have the long O, but you can see some of that flavored on some of my vowels, unfortunately, and Dickie gets away with that, and well, I can play up her accent fine, and I think very good Cody Marshalls. Let's be respectful. Because isn't this what this is? That we hope that when you come back, if someone in the future comes back and see what we've done, if they dig your body up and they see your life, I'm slipping into Dickie there, I'm sorry, didn't mean it. Should I do? No. But when they come back and they see that, will you be disgusted? Or will they understand? You know what I mean? It will just be a disgust of like, ew, those maggots. Or it will be disgust of like, this is something I can't understand. I can't understand this. And I hope, Dickie, when you listen to this, that you will see this little corpse we've buried in your absence, and that you will be satisfied with what you see. I hope so, honey. And I know that we agreed on that, what is it, Black Country New Road song. Everyone's telling me about those guys. The name, I don't even, and it was a fine enough song. I hate the way the guy sings. So I decided to change how we go out tonight with what you told me was your favorite Frog Eyes song. When we had first spoken about Frog Eyes, it was the first impulse when you thought of Frog Eyes. So I'm going to trust it, even though I'm sure that you dug over their catalog these last few days trying to hear Rick Carey Mercer and present it to the world. I don't know. But this is the song that you told me was your favorite. And I agree, man. It's a great song. And this is how we'll leave you tonight. It's Frog Eyes, of course, Russian Berries.
In burning blazing gold, waiting in the collars on the borders where the boyfriends all sink low. And all my hands can do themselves in the valleys, in the corners, in the ceilings over you. Oh, in the kitchen where my Beatrice spreads her glow. Reaction stops itself today when I run home. Oh, where's the keeper of the full-time, daytime sleeper and all? My hands are rest, they're frozen solid, call upon my blessed Russell cry and wine. While gas speakers sink into brine, well, I'm the sender of a hollowed tradition. So are my friends, they are just friends in the slapstick tradition. Loyalty bends under the shadow of a hollowed empire's reaction sees itself in a burning blaze of gold. Putting in the colors and the borders where the boyfriends all sing low. And all my hands can do is fold themselves in the valleys, in the corners, in the ceilings over you. Oh, in the kitchen where my Beatrice smells her glow. Reaction sets itself today when I come home. Oh, we're the keeper of the full-time, daytime sleeper and all. My hands are rest, they're frozen song that call upon my blessed Russell cry and whine. Whilst gas speakers sink into brine, well, I'm the sender of a hollow tradition. So honor my friends, they are just friends in the slapstick tradition. The royalty bends, oh, under the shadow of a hollowed empire's eat your Russian berries, eat them in the monastery, and it's all that I can do. Oh, eat your Russian berries, eat them in the monastery, it's all that I can do. Oh, it's all that I can do. You better hold tight, 'cause even cancer needs a home. You better hold tight, 'cause even cancer needs a home. Oh, you better hold tight, 'cause even cancer needs a home. You better hold tight, 'cause even cancer needs a home.
This is David Radio, coming to you live from Hitsville, USA. 2 blocks from the Motown Museum, 2 blocks from Aretha Franklin's childhood home. Signing off.